Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Ascot Racecourse here on Wednesday. It's the 21st of June 2023. Gonna look at all the races on day 2 of the Royal Ascot meeting, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. We have a lot of action to get to right now. We're gonna look at all the races, so let's get into it right now. Starting off with the first race, 2:30. It's the Group 2 Queen Mary Stakes. It's a Group 2 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $138,000. Race for 2-year-old fillies. An over a very large field of 28 horses going 1,000 meters or 5 furlongs on the turf course. I love the 25 horse here, Relief Rally. Let's go 25-10 in your forecast exacta. 25-10 forecast exacta. Top selection 25 horse Relief Rally. 2-year-old filly by Kodiak. William Haggas trains. Tom Marquand gets the mount. The horse's most recent appearance came the 18th of May at Salisbury. 5 furlongs in a Class 3 fillies conditions race, and the horse won by 1.5 lengths that day, and she had the speed to win. She tracked, she quickened up nicely off the front end, and she took off clear. It was a very lesser quality race, but she still showed potential. Ran a fast speed figure if you want to go by that. Coming here today, drawn on the stand side, which I like. You know, I think she could get a trip, and I think she could get the trip to win. I think the tracking trip in this one should suit her well. On debut, she ran on soft ground at Windsor, 24th of April, 5 furlongs in a Class 5 novice race. She won by 2 lengths, and on the stand side post, she broke well. Again, she just tracked all the way down, and when she had the turn of the foot, she looked like she had a lot left in the tank that day late. An all-around good run. She's definitely been on the improve. I like the stand side poster. I like the tracking ability she has. At 8-1, I'm going to use her in this wide-open race. I think a horse for the quad pot. I'm getting a little crude with this one. The 10 horse Sanane, I think, could possibly get the job done for Tom Morley and Javier Castellano, your Kentucky Derby and Belmont Stakes winning rider, is on this one. Cheerfully by Omaha Beach. This horse ran a little bit more locally to me at Belmont on the 11th of May. 5 furlongs wide in her turf course in the main special weight, and the horse won by 2 3/4 lengths and basically won for fun. You know, beat a decent Wesley Ward horse home that day. This horse basically on the front end all throughout, never really got the whip and just took off clear. Coming here today, another outside poster would suit her well. Has some speed if she wants to use it, and training well here in New York at Belmont. You know, 12-1, this could be your wise guy horse here. She's been training well in the UK. Let's give this horse a shot on the ticket. But I do think the other horse is more likely winner. But it's a very wide open Queen Mary. I think you go a few ways in this one. And but to recap my selection for the first, the 2:30 from Ascot's the Group 2 Queen Mary. Gonna take the 25 horse Relief Rally. Give kudos to the 10 horse Sinane. 25-10 forecast exacta, using both in the place pot. Now the second race, the 3:05. It's the Kensington Palace Handicap. It's fillies handicap for Class 2 horses, going for $120,000 purse. Race for 4-year-olds and upwards. Fillies mares only. 20 horses are going 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. I'm going to take the 3 horse Crystal Caprice as a top selection. 3:12 in your forecast exacta here. 3:12 forecast exacta, top selection 3 horse Crystal Caprice. 4-year-old filly by Frankel. Sir Michael Stout trains. Ryan Moore's on this one. The horse's most recent outing came 24th of May at Ayr. Mile quarter in a fillies listed stakes, and the horse finished 4th by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And she just couldn't stay the mile quarter trip, which is the thing with her recently. They tried going longer. She just wasn't staying the mile quarter. Down to a handicap, even with a high weight, but going the mile trip with a good stand-side post draw. I think the horse could get the trip and win here today. 2 back, the horse running Nottingham on the 2nd of May, mile quarter in the fillies listed stakes. She finished 5th by 13 lengths that day, and she just kind of hit the wall late. Again, not a mile quarter horse. Should really suit well with the mile here. Last time the horse ran a mile was actually at Lingfield in a listed stakes off the bench. Finished 11th by 13 lengths, and she just completely hit the wall. Something must have won a miss that day because she didn't see the horse until earlier this year. But before that, Newmarket and listed stakes over the mile. She finished 3rd by 1 1/4 lengths that day, and she was traveling well. She just needed something more late, but she ran her heart out there. And then our most recent race locally on yielding ground on September 3rd, 1 mile Class 3 fillies handicap, winning by 1 1/4 lengths. She won for fun on the stand side. A very good race there. And then she won a glorious Goodwood in the Class 3 fillies handicap quite nicely from the rail. Coming here at 7-1 off some decent runs with a cutback and trip and some class relief, I'll give her a massive shot on the ticket. I think the 12 horse Tamarama Tamarama. There we go. It took a few times. Pardon me. It's very late here in the night. But Frankie Dettori is on this one for Ralph Beckett. I think she's your likeliest second winner. Most recent Class 4 fillies handicap at Kempton on the pie track over the mile. She won by 3/4 length, and she was drawn stupidly wide and had a high whip but she settled well. She quickened up a lot, and she got the job done. Probably, not giving her A game that day. Coming here, better poster, again on the stand side, which I like, back to a mile. I think she could really run a good race. I think the last race was stamina builder. She is stepping up in some class here, but at 5-1, I'll give her a shot on this wide open one. But to recount my selection for the 305, second race from Ascot, it's the Kensington Palace Handicap. Gonna take the 3-horse Crystal Caprice. Give kudos to the 12-horse, Tamarama. Can't speak. 312 4 calves exacta. Use them both in the plays pot. The beginning of the quad pot is the third race, now the 340. It is the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge Stakes. It's a Group 2 event for Class 1 horses going for a $283,000 purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards. 10 horses are going 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. Going to take the 7-horse Prosperous Voyage as top selection. Let's go 714 in your tri-cash trifecta. 714 Tricast Trifecta, top selection 7-horse Prosperous Voyage. This 4-year-old filled by Zoffany. Ralph Beckett trains. Frankie Dettori's on this one. The horse's most recent outing came 3 weeks ago at Epsom, a mile 16th in the Group 3 Princess Elizabeth Stakes, and she won by 3/4 in length. And, everybody and her mother knew she was going to win that day, and she settled well. She got to the front end and took off clear, ran the race for life, or nearly the race for life that day. An all-around good run for her. Prior to that, in the Group 2 Dahlia Stakes at Newmarket over the mile on the 8th, 7th of May, she finished 5th by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and she was just a little bit flat that day. Maybe off the bench she needed the race, but she really put on a show after that at Epsom. And then in the fall at Newmarket, 1 mile in the Group 1 Sun Chariot Stakes, she finished 4th by 4 lengths that day, and she completely hit the wall. I thought they were just asking a little bit too much towards the end of the season last year. Before that they ran behind in Spiral in the Prix-Jacques Maurice over the mile at Deauville, but before that in the Group 1 Falmouth, she was an upsetter at 16-1. She put on a show. She had the turn of foot going up the hill, an all-around good race. She actually ran behind in Spiral last year in the Coronation Stakes here, where the horse just had a stupidly wide trip over the round mile. I think today she'll have a better trip, and I think she could get it, do wonders in this race. At 2-1 with Frankie up, I'll give this horse a shot. I think the 1-horse Grand Dame for Jamie Spencer could be your upsetter for Jonathan Thady Gosden. Most recently in the Sun Chariot, the horse finished 3rd by 2 3/4 lengths that day in the fall, where she just won more ground, but she got down the race course well. And then the Atlantia Stakes at Sandown over the mile, the horse finished 2nd by 2 1/4 lengths. She had a little bit of a wide trip, but probably cost her that day. She was kind of yielding late, but she went over the mile at Sandown in early July last year quite nicely. She ran last year's Coronation Stakes, where she was on the drive, just not really excelling that day. But if you take that race out, she doesn't run half bad. It's not the world's toughest Group 2. She should get a good trip from the 6 hole. I'll give her a shot in the quad pot that begins with this race. So to recount my selection for the 340, third race from Ascot, it's the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge. Let's take the 7-horse Prosperous Voyage. Give kudos to the 1-horse Grand Dame. 714 Tricast Trifecta, 7-1 in your quad pod. The fourth race now, the 420. It is the Group 1 Prince of Wales Stakes. It's a Group 1 event for Class 1 horses going for a $1.2 million purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards. 6 horses are contesting the 2,000 meters or a mile and a quarter on the turf course. I'm taking the 1-horse Adayar. I'm going to go 162 in your Tricast Trifecta. 162 Tricast Trifecta. Top selection 1-horse Adayar. 5-year-old horse by Frankel. Charlie Appleby trains. William Buick gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came on the 7th of May at Newmarket. A mile and a quarter in the Group 3 Gordon Richards Stakes. Rescheduled the Gordon Richards Stakes. Of course, it was supposed to be run the previous week, if I'm not mistaken, at Sandown during their Derby trial weekend. But it was canceled because of the rain. But this horse at Newmarket, he kept going. He was on the drive and excelling. An all-around good race. He showed good form there. And probably wasn't even 100% cranked. Coming here 100% cranked. Good poster. Mile and a quarter. I think this is a horse that could really put a dent in this division as the season goes on. If they win today, I would love to see this horse come stateside to run in, like, say, the Arlington Million, or they go to the Jedmont International next. We'll have to wait and see, or the Eclipse. Eclipse is more likely, and then we'll see where he goes. But Charlie Appleby is not afraid to travel stateside with some of these horses. But two back, the horse ran horribly at Ascot, but that's in the fall when the ground is you either like it or hate it. He finished second in the Champion Stakes behind Bay Bridge that day, but he just never was really comfortable. I just don't think he likes the very soft going. Prior to that, a conditions race at Doncaster over the mile and a quarter, first star nearly a year, 29 cents of the dollar. He basically won in a trot and very easy return to the races. And then the Champion Stakes, I thought he didn't like the soft ground. I also thought it was a quick turnaround from the arc. He just wasn't getting the good trip. He finished 5th by 7 lengths that day. day, and he ran a sneaky good arc as the 4-1 favorite in 2021. He finished fourth by 4 3/4 lengths. He just couldn't get quick enough like the three in front of him and the stablemate Hurricane Lane, who finished third. But he got down the race course well, and then won the King George here in the summer of 2021 quite nice over the mile and a half, beating Mashir of Home, who was a decent horse. But coming here today off some decent runs, I think he's a very likely horse to win this one. My Prospero for Tom Marquand and William Haggis could possibly get a piece of it. I don't think his race in Lockage wasn't half bad at all, but it kind of scares me that Modern Games ran a crap on Tuesday here. It's off of that run last time out, where he put on a show last time out. But this horse I think has been crying out for the mile and a quarter. He ran a massive third in Champion Stakes last year. I won a Saint Cloud in July quite nicely, and I thought he had a decent third place finish behind Corbus in the St. James Palace last year. Coming here today, I'll give him a shot on the ticket at 7-2 for the quad pot, but I think a day is your likeliest winner, and is a horse that might do wonders as the season goes on. But to recount my selection for the 420 now, the fourth race from Ascot, it's the Group 1 Prince of Wales. Let's take the one horse a Dayar, give kudos to the 6 horse My Prospero, 162 Tricast Trifecta, 1-6 in your multi-race. Let's get to the fifth race, the 5 o'clock, which is the Royal Hunt Cup. It's a heritage handicap for Class 2 horses, going for a $210,000 purse. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. An oversubscribed field of 31 horses entered to go the distance of ground of 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. I'm going to take the 3-horse Reach for the Moon as a top selection. 311 for me in your forecast exacta. 311 forecast exacta. Top selection of 3-horse Reach for the Moon. This 4-year-old gelding by See the Stars. John Thady trains this one. Frankie Dettori gets on this one for His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen. So it'd be kind of cool for them to get their first winner as the King and Queen here. But most recently, the horse ran in the Earl Sefton at Newmarket over the mile in the 8th. Facing tougher horses, he just wasn't getting going. He finished 7th by 37 lengths. The blinkers were on. He just wasn't doing wonders. I think with the blinkers off today, he should be more satisfied to get a good trip, and I think he could, win today. Two back in the Group 3 pre-Perth at St. Cloud over the mile on heavy ground. Off the bench, finished 6th by 29 lengths. I think he wasn't cranked, and I also don't think he liked the waterlogged ground. But he ran here last year in the Hampton Cork, where he finished 2nd by 1 3/4 lengths over the mile and a quarter. He just wasn't staying the trip well late. I do think a mile would suited him better that day, but he got around the race course well. And then the listed 6 at Sandown in May of 2022. He finished 2nd by 1 1/4 lengths that day, and again, he was staying the trip well. Just needed something more, but it was a decent all-around place there. And then at Doncaster in the Champagne Stakes of 2021, he had a massive second place finish behind Bayside Boy, who had the jump on him, but again, got down the race course well. Getting a wide poster, which isn't bad in this very, large group of horses. He has some forwardly pace. 7-1, I'll give him a shot here. I think the 11 horse Blue for You for Daniel Thudhope and David O'Meara is your second likeliest winner. Most recently at York on the 18th of May over the mile in a Class 2 handicap. The horse finished 5th by 3.5 lengths that day. Had a high weight, but he probably needed the race off the bench, but he got down the race course well. Prior to that, in the Balmoral handicap over the mile here on Champions Day, he finished 15th by 8.5 lengths that day. And again, on the yielding ground, he just was on the drive, not really excelling that day. He didn't handle the yielding ground before that in that Heritage handicap in October, but won at York in the summer quite nicely and had a decent place at Glorious Goodwood in a Class 2 handicap last summer also. If he runs a quarter of those races, especially that York race, he could definitely win here today. I'll give him a shot here second off the bench. He really runs better there, the second race off the bench. 15-1, definitely using your quad pod. But to recap my selection for the 5 o'clock, the 5th race from Ascot's the Royal Hunt Cup. Gonna take here the 3-horse Reach for the Moon. Give kudos to the 11-horse Blue for You. 311 forecast exacta. Using both in the multi-race. To the 6th event, the 535. It is the Group 2 Queen's Vase. It's a Group 2 event for Class 1 horses, going for a $318,000 purse race for 3-year-olds here. Possibly stayers for your St. Ledger coming up in about 3 months or so now. But 14 horses are going 2,800 meters or mile 3/4 on the turf course. I'm going to take here the number 5 horse Gregory. I'm going to go 529 in your forecast exacta. 529 Tricast Trifecta. Top selection of 5 horse Gregory. 3-year-old colt by Golden Horn. John Thady trains. Guess what? Frankie Dettori, I think I have him 3 times today, gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came at Goodwood on the 26th of May. Mile 3, it's in a listed stakes, and the horse won by 3 lengths that day, and he stayed the trip well. He quickened up, and he kept going. Going to a mile 3/4 stake, getting 3 extra furlongs off the last run shouldn't be a problem. I think he could stay forever. I also think the good poster really suits him up well. On debut, he won going a mile and a half, which is quite impressive, at Haydock, 29th of April. In that Class 2 novice race, won by 1 3/4 lengths. It's the 5-2 favorite. Again, he settled well. He kept going. Wasn't so keen, in a bad way. It was not in the bad way, but it was still a very good, easy run from there. Third time group quality horses, but not the deepest group. I think he can get a trip to win. I'll use him. The 2-horse chess piece for Godolphin and Simon and Crisford and James Doyle is your second likeliest winner, I think. Won in a Class 3 handicap at York over the mile and a half in May. He easily kept going that day. And then prior to that, Newberry over the mile and a quarter in a Class 2 novice race in April. He finished third by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and he moved a little bit late, but I just do think the mile and a quarter is just a little bit too short for him. Back to a mile, coming to a mile 3 furlong, or mile 6 furlongs here today. Another horse, he's bred to stay. I'll give him a shot on to end off the quad pot or a place pot, whatever you decide to play. I would prefer the quad pot because I think it's going to be a little better payout. But to recap my selection for the 6 to 535 from Ascot's Group 2 Queen's Vase. I'm going to take the 5-horse Gregory. Give kudos to the 2-horse chess piece. 529 Tricast Trifecta. 5-2 to end off the quad pod. The finale, the 7th race, 610 from Ascot now. It's the Windsor Castle Stakes. It's listed stakes for Class 1 horses, going for a $120,000 purse. Race for 2-year-olds here. 26 horses are going 1,000 meters or 5 furlongs on the turf course. I'm going to take the 6-horse Fandom as a top selection. 6-9 for me in your forecast exacta. 6-9 forecast exacta. Top selection 6-horse Fandom. 2-year-old colt by Showcasing. Wesley Ward trains this one for Stone Street. I Rider Tees Jr. gets the mount. The horse on debut ran at Keeneland. 5.5 furlongs on the turf course in the main special weight. And the horse won by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and basically, on the front and all throughout, when he got to the top of the lane, he just basically won in a trot. That was a very easy run. Coming here with, I think out of all the horses Wesley's running this week, I think this is his best chance to win. Coming here with a forwardly pace in this one, he could settle well early on, set that slope fraction on the front end, and then just spurt away late. I think this horse could really, get the show going with this one. He's training well Keeneland the last few weeks on the turf course, which is, quite nicely done. And I think he could get the job done. 7-1, I'll use him. I think the 9-horse Hackman for James Doyle and Hugo Palmer is your second likeliest winner. Sandown last time out over the 5 on good ground. He finished third by 6 lengths that day. You either handle the 5 furlongs at Sandown or you don't. He just wasn't handling it that day from the inside. He just kind of digressed. He never was into it. A very lackadaisical. It wasn't the day to win. Prior to that, over the 5 in a Class 2 main race at Chester, he had the speed to win that day. He won by 1 3/4 lengths. He broke on top and basically on the front end. He put on a show. A very good race that day. And then at Newmarket over the 5 in April during the Craven meeting in Class 4 novice race. He finished third by 1 3/4 lengths again. He needs something more late, but he got down the race course well. It wouldn't surprise me if he stalks the leading pair, and he might find a good turn of foot late to win. At 20-1, I'll give him a shot here, but I think Fandom's your most likeliest winner. But to recap my selection for the 610, the 7th race from Ascot's, the Windsor Castle Stakes, let's take the 6-horse Fandom. Give kudos to the 9-horse Hackman. 6-9 forecast exacta. Use them both in the multi-race. So good luck to all. Remember to join me throughout the week for some more Royal Ascot previews, and follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Good luck, everybody.